I'll just say it like this. Are we live?
What's up, profitable stylist? Today is about me and my curly hair.
Didn't know she was going to do that. It's
I,
about me. You didn't know either?
and
Yeah,
my curly hair.
it's about me and my curly hair. It is. It's all about you. Oh, tell us, Eddie, what is it about today?
So the week
Curly hair.
before, we were having some technical difficulties, so we had to reschedule that. This whole thing started from a comment that we had got from Clipping Queen. And the comment reads like this. What I can't wrap my brain around. Now, she doesn't sound like this. This is just my accent, right? She probably sounds way more well spoken than I do.
Yeah.
What I can't wrap my brain around is how you wear curly hair extensions. Her hair is naturally curly, and while still blow drying it after a shampoo. All the stylists say you shouldn't leave the hair to natural dry, well, most. So, how does that work with curly extensions? Wouldn't there be a ton of tangling? What I have noticed on my hair extension journey over many years is that most of the hair I wear tends to get wavy when wet anyway, so I don't need the hair permed. I would love to know if curly girls get more tangling with hair extensions. Thanks for this video. Now, this comment was in response to the perming, hair extension video that we had done a couple weeks back, 2 weeks back. Or no, 3 weeks back. Yeah, we
You
did a
froze on
straightening
my
and then
end.
we did a curling. Are you on your Wi-Fi? You just froze up.
Mhm.
All right, so we got to give Bernard a second to get back.
Okay.
I don't want to go through this all over again. The technical difficulties of the internet, man. I tell you, I tell you, I tell you. Oh, here we go.
Oh,
He's back.
He's back. Yay.
it, it was frozen there for a minute. I didn't know if it was my connection. Realized I didn't have my Wi-Fi plugged in.
Figured as
You had
Yes.
much.
just you had just finished reading. Was I frozen?
You got
Yes, you
frozen because
are.
of your Wi-Fi. So I just finished reading, and I had said that this comment was in response to the smoothing and curl. We did a perming video a couple weeks back, and then we did the smoothing video after that. So that's what
Yeah.
this comment was in response to. So I figured I'll bring Carmelina on, and she's got the curly hair. I've mentioned my wife many times, just like you talk about Vincey having curly hair.
Yep.
They all got this kind of curl. So
I
I
think one of the important, a couple of the important things I got out of what I heard you read just now was so many things, but that most hair is wavy already. That's true, and so it
Mhm.
blends with most people's hair. If people's hair is a little more or a little less wavy, the extensions usually blend pretty well. But with a very curly headed girl, and we say very curly, there's so many stages of curl. Most extensions do not come that curly, and so then yes, you have to perm them or order very curly hair. And then do they tangle more? Yes, they tangle more. You have to know what to do. And the misconception is she said that you're not supposed to comb or brush. And you know what? All of these things that are said are true at certain times. Like, right, you don't brush curly hair when it's dry, but
Mm-mm.
you can when it's wet. You don't, some hair you don't do anything with. You don't want to run your fingers through, or they say not to at certain times. And so I think that's where the confusion comes in is when do you brush? When do you comb? When do you shampoo? Can you sleep with wet hair or not? Don't blow dry curly hair. But, oh, if I can't blow dry curly hair, how am I going to sleep with dry hair because it's never going to dry? So you can get it dry, you just don't blow it. And so I think we need to like touch on all of those subjects is what's going to happen. Don't you think?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then what we'll do is we'll just run her through the gambit since she's here.
Oh God.
We'll do a little interrogation, and then we'll see what kind of a client you end up being. No pressure, nothing.
Oh
Though.
yeah.
Yeah.
You had some good setups for her the last time we tried to do this video. You want to ask Carmelina those questions and see what how she
Yeah.
answers?
All right. So the
So.
first thing what we're gonna start with is
Mhm.
how curly would you say your curly hair is?
Hmm. Very curly, deep curl. I don't know.
Very curly. And how much hair would you say you have
For three people.
for 3 people? Yeah, when they was
That's what I was told.
every time I color her hair, Bernard, I'm like, good God. When they were passing out hair at the buffet, you went for seconds and thirds, man. You greedy. But
So
But
how long is her hair in the back right now if you pull it around? Is it about the same as what I'm seeing on the side?
yeah, it's the same.
Okay.
Shoulder
All right.
blades.
Yep. That's a good view of it. So yep, there's a lot of hair there.
Yeah, she's got a lot of hair, but her hair is she has a lot of hair and it's very curly, but it's thin, it's fine hair. So
Fine hair.
so the texture to it to the touch is very soft. It's not
Interesting.
that coarse thickness that you're used to seeing with this type of curls. So her hair in particular is very much more prone to tangling.
Sure, sure. And I can tell it's thick because I don't see any scalp in between the hairs up here. Like
Yeah.
on you and I, we see some scalp in
Right.
between the hairs. A little more on you than on me, but
Uh,
No, not everybody's been blessed with a full head like
just
you.
a little. I'm just saying just a little.
just a little.
But, but on Carmelina there,
Yeah.
there is no scalp between the hairs. And so go ahead and finish. Let her answer your question.
All right. So now,
Mhm.
as a baseline, when you don't have extensions,
Okay.
how many times a week do you wash your hair? Or how do you wash your hair?
So
Or how often?
2 times out of the week, I shampoo and condition, and the rest of the days, I just, wet the hair and I condition it. So every day is, wetting curly hair.
I
And
found the
then,
same thing with my wife. Even if she doesn't shampoo it, she doesn't like the way it looks when she wakes up. It might be a little too flat or
yeah,
too
you can get
fuzzy.
like bad head or, yeah.
So
So
she
you
has to
have
do
to wet it.
something. Yes.
Hmm.
Okay. And I think that's a really important thing that a lot of people miss out on because a lot of people don't like to wash their hair or get their hair wet because then they have to go back through and redo the whole thing all over again. And I believe that is a very strong misconception is if I get in the shower and I wet my hair, I must shampoo.
True.
And it's such an
True.
odd thing to only wash your hair with conditioner because a lot of people think that their hair goes flat if they wash their hair with conditioner, right? So go a little bit more specific with the details when you're putting conditioner, how you're doing it.
So I put the conditioner, like the size of a dime. Like you don't put too much, and you just work it. You just work it through your hair.
So like when you're working it through your hair, you're putting it in your forehead and going straight back, or what are you doing?
No, you because you put your hair, you get your hand, and then you just rake it through. You massage it in to your hair.
So you're putting it to your scalp, or you're staying a little bit off of your scalp a little bit.
A little bit off, so you're like a little off, so you're like right here, and you're like massaging it all the way through.
You're trying to get her to use hairdresser terms, Eddie.
I'm
She's not a hairdresser.
trying. I'm trying. But no, but this is a great point to bring up because so many times that's the number one complaint about using conditioner is I don't want my hair to go flat. Well, yeah, if you're putting it at your scalp, your hair is going to go flat. The purpose of conditioner is as its name states. It's to condition the hair. It's to make it better. And from the mid, like from if this is the whole length of hair from scalp to ends, from the mid shaft down is where the damage is. That's what needs help. The hair
And you know what I
towards the
just
scalp
realized?
doesn't need help.
You know what I just realized is maybe the bigger problem is in the communication because
Mm.
maybe a client doesn't even know what that means when we say mid-strand to ends, and we
True,
need
true.
because she's trying to describe it and she never says mid-strand. Maybe our average client, when they hear us say it, they're just like, mm-hmm, mm-hmm, but they don't they don't really get what we're saying, but they don't want to say, I have no clue what you're talking about. So I think a big part of this, and in most problems in the salon, is communication. So I think what you're describing just now is big, and maybe it'll help us all as stylists communicate a little better where the conditioner needs to go with more visuals instead of just words
Mm.
showing where. Because you're right, most of the damage or dryness or open cuticle is not near the scalp, not from the scalp to the middle of the strand. It's from the middle of that strand to the ends is what's been on the head a lot longer and a little more susceptible to damage and needs some help with the detangling. So let's go into this. I think the biggest misnomer and challenge is that wet, dry, brush, sleeping, extensions or no extensions with curly hair. I'd like to go into that because I think it's the thing that confuses most people is how and when do you brush or detangle curly hair? And I think it goes with or without extensions. And then how do you sleep without wet hair if you can't dry? Because that's what part of that letter you wrote was, or that comment, something about not blow drying. You can dry curly hair, but it's a specific way. So let's talk about that. How do you dry that curly hair and not make it look like a big fuzzball?
So after the shower and everything, that you just need a diffuser, and you just dry it to how you like it. And I say how you like it because you don't want to do 100% dry when you don't have extensions, because you still want that curl to look like the wet curl, not so too many curls apart. So you have to dry it at least 85%, so you don't dry it out, because it needs lots of moisture, your curly hair.
It's a good point, and I like that because I kind of tried to articulate that last time when our video started messing up. For me, uh, the two ends of the spectrum of curly hair are soaking wet, which I personally love and think is super sexy, and then completely dry, which is every single hair standing alone and just all
Mm-hmm.
looks like a cotton fuzzball, which I don't
Yeah.
think is particularly sexy. And so there's somewhere in the middle is what you have to decide you like, either as the stylist or the client, or and you may change it up from time to time. But when you put a product in, some sticky product, whether it's a pomade, a gel, a mousse, a foam, something that clumps a certain grouping of hairs together, just the water in the beginning will group hundreds of hairs together, and it looks like a curl that these eyeballs can follow and like, oh, that's curly hair. And
Mm.
that's what I think most people don't get is the whole other end of the spectrum is when you dry and dry and dry. With a blow dryer, it's just slapping that hair all over the place. And like you said, diffuser, that's making warm air pass over the hair slow enough that it doesn't knock the hair apart and separate till you have each and every individual hair going in its own pattern, which ends up just looking so, it gets bigger. I mean, if
Yeah.
you're looking for big, that's the balance. Like wet hair is small, completely dry is big on curly. And so you're looking for something in the middle and some separation of hair where you're starting to separate those 300 hairs to 150 to maybe
Right.
60 or 50 or 20. You got to have some grouping of hairs still clumped together with a product so that the eye can follow a curl. And you're right. I like it to look a little wet, but you can even go that next step where it's still looking dry, but some hairs clumped together, but not quite to the point where every single hair is separated. But we still didn't touch on the detangling part. When are the tangles taken out?
So, and then that's what I was just about to say, because you said it, you said the exact word, product.
Yeah, the
And a
products.
lot of people get nervous about product as well, because again, they don't want it to build up. They want to be able to stretch
Mm.
going 2 or 3 days. And again, we are talking about curly hair and curly hair extensions. We're not talking about when we blow dry her hair straight, which is once a month or once every 2 months. We don't really do it. Like 99% of the time, she's walking around like this. This is her
Yeah,
life. So, you know, okay. So when you get out the shower, you wrap your hair.
like a Chiquita banana.
Okay, Chiquita, what do you do next? When do
So
you get those tangles out? Do you put products in before or after you detangle?
so after you take the towel off of your hair, so it's not like sopping wet, I have some products. So you have to use a leave-in product to spray all over your hair, and then you need to
Is that
use,
like a leave-in conditioner?
Yeah,
yes,
like a leave-in
and then
conditioner,
you
right?
also need, I like to use daily smoothing cream to smooth out the hair, and it has heat protectant in it, so it's
What's
good
the
for
name
you.
of that?
It's a Care Therapy daily smoothing cream.
By who?
Care Therapy.
Carotherapy. Okay.
Yeah.
So in actuality, I have a backwards approach to curly hair. I know there's a lot of products out there that are specifically made to enhance curly hair for curly hair. I actually go backwards. I actually make her use a lot of smoothing products instead of curling products because, in my opinion, the struggle and the problem with the curls, because of the round shape of the cuticle, it's a silly, it's going in a sphere, it's going in a circle, and all those little individual strands keep knocking into each other, and it's making like a helix pattern. They're not all going in the same flow. And when you have dryness, when you're missing moisture and stuff like that, all that friction that rubs up against each other, that's why curly hair blows up. That's why you got the frizz and the big hair. So by smoothing down the cuticle, but we're not blow drying it straight. We're just putting a smoothing product to help make the hair, a little heavy, so it lays everything down, and it actually enhances her curl pattern. And then it's got the heat protection and stuff like that. So then you put the detangling, you put those
right.
two,
and then after you can use a detangling brush. I like to use the Ergo Gentle brush, or you can use a wide tooth comb, whatever you like. And then you just, so it's evenly distributed. And then after that, you don't
that's
comb
a
anymore.
2-tier hair extensions brush.
Let's see it a little closer. Can we see the bristles? Oh, yeah. Spin it all
Can
around.
you see that it's got the 2 tiers in there?
Yeah.
Yeah, that helps to separate the hair.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and it's no secret, we're not sponsored by Ergo, but man, do I love the Ergo brushes.
I know you do. Yeah.
So then, you just, brush your hair all the way through, and then you don't brush or comb your hair anymore. Then you just I like using mousse in my hair. And it doesn't make it really hard. It's like a medium hold, and it's just good enough to get that little crunch that you need to have the wet curly hair look.
Now, you mentioned diffuser with the blow dryer. So how are you diffusing your hair with the blow dryer?
So you put the diffuser on, and then you put
don't
hair in,
tell a story, ma'am. Don't tell a story.
Just blow dry.
What diffuser do you put on the blow dryer?
It's round.
What diffuser do we have that you use?
Does it have a brand name?
Yeah, it's called Her Hand.
You could use your hand.
She's
or
trying to be all
diffuser.
professional, Bernard. Yeah,
Saw
no,
her
she
doing
uses
two.
her hand.
I saw her talking about a diffuser and blowing. I'm thinking, but usually the diffuser's on the end of the blow dryer, so maybe Eddie never taught her how to use a diffuser.
No.
Maybe she didn't see the big hole in the end of the diffuser.
Yeah.
So that's great. No, that's great, because that's another idea.
Yeah, you can do that, or you can just cup your hair and then you just blow dry, and then it keeps your hair bouncy and
So most blow dryers obviously have heat control. Some have cold or a cold shot, but then they have warm and hot. But they also have that other switch on how much volume flows through the blow dryer. And it's like, how many years do you go where you think, why does this blow dryer even have low? What is the purpose of low? I want as much heat, as much. I literally went into Sally's one time years ago, and I said, I'm so tired of these blow dryers that don't really blow. I know I should be buying a really high-end professional blow dryer right now, but I need one right now. And so the lady goes, there's a plug. Let's take them all out and see. We pulled all the dryers out, and I wanted to see which one could blow my lawn, if I needed to. And I wanted the most volume at the time with a lot of heat. And that's totally the opposite of what you need for curly hair. And so that's the point of maybe even the warm. The hot is okay, but the low volume, because you just want warm air to pass over and evaporate the water, like she's saying. And if you use your hand to hold the hair still, I imagine that was the first diffuser. Never even thought about using just the Carmelina brand diffuser.
Yes. All natural.
And then blowing. Yeah. But still the point is, while the hair is wet, with or without the products, you can comb, brush down to the scalp. And some people, I think, are worried when they're combing or brushing. They're like, I'm combing the curl out. It's getting straight. And it's true. you put the products in, but the weight of the water and the product, and you're pulling it straight. If you start blow drying in a down position with pushing the curl out, the product will start to grab and dry and freeze or whatever products do to hold whatever texture we put it in. Sure, you will lose some curl with the blow drying experience. But that's why her point was she's pushing up and towards the head, encouraging the curl back in there after all of the tangles were taken out. So the comb or the brush, that had nothing to do with the styling. That has to do with distributing the product a little more evenly, maybe, but also getting the tangles out all the way to the scalp, because that's the other challenge with curly hair. People brush lightly over the top, and they never get all the way through, especially in that back area. Get in there, even if you got to turn upside down and comb the tangles out with or without extensions, and then go into diffusing and drying,
So
right?
now there's a
That's
secret
true.
sauce too that we use on her hair that enough people with curly hair don't talk about or don't think about, and that's maintaining the hair color and the treatments, the condition of the hair as well. Because she has thin, she has soft hair, right? So,
Right.
And it's prone to tangling because it's so soft because of how curly it is. So walk us through when we color your hair.
So yeah, you color it, and then after it's done in a shampoo bowl, you have like glaze treatment that you put on before you shampoo the hair and condition the hair.
Do you know what the glaze treatment is?
It helps
It's
protect the
invisible.
colors.
It's invisible.
No. Do you
It
know?
helps protect the
Do you know
color.
what that color is? The glaze.
It's clear.
I'm going to put one on the screen right now. Look at
But
that. And now I'm going to take it off. Did you guys see the difference?
Bernard's favorite hair color is 0 stroke 00 clear.
I just
Ah,
don't believe in it. I just don't think clear.
You've seen her.
I know you and every other hairdresser in the world is against me on this. Maybe it's my old eyes, but even when I was in my 20s and 30s, when it was first coming out, I still didn't see it. And
ah.
I don't. Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
So you do the invisible treatment that Bernard thinks doesn't
Yeah.
exist.
Oh, yes.
And then what other treatment do we do on you?
It's called a color lock and smooth.
And do you want to try to explain that a little bit?
I can try.
Okay.
So the color lock and smooth, you spray a little bit on the hair, and it doesn't make you lose curl because um there's different like what volumes of that kind of treatments. That's
Oh,
our
different potency strengths.
yeah.
Okay.
So
Okay. I know
that
what you're
one's
trying
the
to say.
lightest for if you like your curly hair and you don't want to get like snaggly ends to look like broomsticks. So you do color lock and smooth, and it helps to like smooth. And does it enhance the hair as well, the curls?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I got with that.
It's
And it helps frizz.
it's a very unique express keratin smoothing treatment, and it's designed to give you all the benefits of a keratin smoothing treatment without curl reduction. And that's the power of the
Yeah.
color lock and smooth. So in addition to all the benefits of a keratin smoothing treatment, it also gives you all the benefits of a deep conditioning service that we would do after a hair color service. Hence the name color lock and smooth. So it stays in the hair for about 6 weeks. That's the trade-off. Some of these treatments will last for like 4 to 6 months in the hair, depending on what potency strength you use. But because of
Right.
that strength, it reduces, you lose some of your curl pattern, right? So the trade-off on this one is it don't last as long. You got to get it done more often. But like I was saying about the daily smoothing cream earlier too, my approach is if we actually smooth out that curl a little bit, not to take it away and not to just to weigh it down a little bit, it'll actually make it anti-humidity. It'll control that frizz. It'll add that moisture
Right.
back into the hair that it so desperately needs. And that's what gives that curl more of that enhanced look.
So we talked a lot about curl, and I think we mostly talked about curl in general, but not the difference in whether you had straight hair and you got a perm and got it curled. A few weeks ago, we were talking about how you were saying there's more than one a day getting perms in your salon. I imagine you meant by the whole salon because I can't imagine you're doing 3 or 4 perms a
No,
day.
no, not me.
Right.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's funny because just like 2 weeks after that, a guy comes in the salon, and I have a new hairdresser in the shop, and I think I mentioned this on another video. She immediately in front of the client said, "Perms terrify me." I said,
Oh.
"No, don't say that in front of." I was like behind the client's back, going, "Shh, no, you don't talk like that in front of a client." But she was so nervous. She said in the back, I said, "You can't say that." She goes, "I'm so sorry, it just came out. I don't know what." I didn't
Oh.
mean to say it. I really am terrified. I said, "You know what? You're running behind on your color client anyway. I'm going to wrap this perm for you." She goes, "Are you sure? Because I don't work every day in the salon." I said, "I'm so
Yeah.
excited to wrap this perm. I haven't wrapped a perm. Well, I wrapped an extension, some extensions I permed a couple of weeks before that, but that was the first one in probably a year or two. And so I permed this guy's hair while I'm doing it. She's looking over saying, "Thank you so much. Thank you so much." The client says, he said, "I think he's more excited about this perm than I am." And
Ah.
I think I am. What about you though? She goes, he says, "My dad used to get perms my whole life, and I never have, but I always loved his curly hair. I'm ready to try it." No, he had his side shaved because he had like he had this big wide mohawk that was growing out,
Oh.
and so it was kind of easy. It was like one row of rods down the center and two on each side to kind of pull
And
that.
that's the style. That's the men's
Yeah.
style right now.
They love it.
And and since we're talking about curly hair, I just thought I'd throw in there mixing up the size rods. I think made it look a lot more natural. I did a peach rod in the front, and then white, and then gray, and a couple of purples, and just mixed up the sizes. But at the same time, when I got to these sides,
Mm.
the hair was so short, I had to use pink, the really little pink rods, just a couple of them. But it was either have these pieces that came out straight. I said, "Some of these hairs I might not be able to get in the rods." He said, "Ah, it don't matter. I'll cut them off like the rest of my
Ah.
shaved head." So it was really easy going. The perm came out great. I really loved doing it, but that was just a thing that reminded me. We were at a karate tournament for my son in Arizona this last weekend, and the guy had this haircut that's coming back. We used to call it a mullet, but there's a newer term for it. Do you know the new term,
You're
Eddie?
talking about the wolf cut.
Yeah, the wolf
Yeah,
cut.
I heard
So
that.
I asked the guy, and it was curly in the back. And I asked the guy, he was our waiter, and the people with us at the table thought I was going to offend him, and they were a little nervous. I said, "So what would you call that haircut?" And he said, "What, my mullet?" And I said, "Well, there's a newer name for it, and yours kind of looks like the newer version." He said, "What would that be?" He was just saying he did it on a dare, ended up loving it. Some of the family members hated it, so he just doubled down on it just to piss more people in the
Yeah,
family off.
that
As
makes
more people
sense.
hated it, the more he grew it out. And I don't know if he had a perm or his hair's naturally curly, but the back of that head was really curly.
Hmm.
And he probably has a lot of the same challenges we're talking about right now. The products, how dry do you
Yeah.
get it? When do you detangle it? And so I think it's all these things matter for permed hair, man or woman, and whether it's naturally curly or permed, how
Mm.
fuzzy or wet do you want it to look?
You
Mm.
just reminded me of something talking about perming and perming hair extensions. So on Carmelina, we've done all kinds of hair extensions. We've done tape ins, keratin bonds, K tips, beaded wefts, flat beaded wefts, beaded strands, I tips. So we've done a whole bunch of different types of hair extensions on her. We've even done clip ins on her as well. When we've done the keratin bonds, though the she likes the fantasy colors,
Mhm.
and fantasy
Sure.
colors don't come in curly texture, they just come in natural body texture.
Right.
So I've had to perm those specific fantasy colors.
Right.
One thing I noticed the very first time I did it on her, I just put all the bonds in all the same way, I wrapped it all the same way and permed them. The perm came out okay, but when I put it in her hair, it was messy. And the reason why it was messy is because I overlooked the simple fact of her curls aren't all spinning in the same direction all across her head. At different parts of her head, her curls are turning in different directions. So then the last couple of times I've done the fantasy colors on her and I've had to perm them, I'll perm half of them one way, and I'll perm the other half of them the other way. So as I'm putting them through her hair, I'll,
Mix them up.
I'll mix them up. Yeah, I'll mix them up and alternate them. So this way they all flow a lot more evenly. And then the same thing with the wefts, because, the wefts come one big piece. That's one of the nice things about it is you can special order. They'll make it to order. They'll actually make it curly for you. You got to wait a little longer for it, but heck, saves you the trouble of having to perm it yourself,
Yes.
And I'm all for that.
A great perm tip. Here's a great perm tip or trick that RJ could cut out and put this as a separate video. Great perm tip, trick, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
I did a perm class in my salon because these new hairdressers just don't do perms in school or in the salon anymore. And I found over the years as I was doing perms, if you just part like you're doing rollers, you perm hatchet mark lines in the head. So I showed them how to zigzag their parts and don't use perfectly straight parts on the edges. Zigzag the section, zigzag each one that you perm so you don't perm hard lines on the head.
That's a great tip.
Yeah.
It makes it look so much more natural. That's a great tip.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm done.
So now, well, when she do you want to ask her anything when she wears hair extensions?
No, you go for it.
All right. So then one of the big things and one of the big
Sure.
questions was you shouldn't leave the hair to naturally dry with hair extensions. So what are the differences that you do when you are wearing, like when we put the hair extensions on you? What do you do differently than what you would normally do?
Well, you do. The only thing I'd say different is, you do everything the same. The difference is when you have the hair extensions, after you're done brushing and putting products, when you're about to, blow dry your hair, you still, use the diffuser. And, yeah. And mostly it's like for bedtime because you only brush really once. So I know you're supposed to brush your hair more frequently when you have extensions, but with curly hair, I get the pieces of hair and I separate, so it's detangling the hair. And when I go to sleep, I don't just tie it in a ponytail. I usually tie it in a braid, so this way it doesn't really tangle up. That's the only difference I'd say.
That's a good point. Control the hair when she sleeps. Even with straight hair, people should do that with extensions. But I like what she's saying. She still does some detangling, but it's more with her fingers.
Yeah, that's the only difference.
All right. So then in the morning when you wet your hair and
Right,
some days
with
you
the
do shampoo,
extensions.
conditioner, some days you just do conditioner. You do that same thing with hair extensions.
Same thing with the hair extensions, and then you use the same products. And then you have to make sure that when you blow dry to your liking, of course, like here, but you have to make sure the bonds or the weft is dry, because then that will lead to lots of tangles if you don't have that dried.
And that was the point I was hoping she was going to say. A lot of people are worried that the drier they make their hair, the more fuzzier it's going to get, the more tangling it's going to get, right? But hair, when it's wet, expands. Think of like a balloon. It will blow up and expand. So as long as you dry the area where they're attached to, and you dry that
Yes.
all the way or just pretty close to all the way, you could still leave the rest of the length of the hair, semi-damp or, semi-wet or however you want to say it. Because you want to have that curly style or whatever style you
Yes.
want, But that's the key thing that I was hoping she was going to touch on, which she did, is right where the attachments are for the hair extensions. That's the part you got to make sure that you get that dry all the way so that hair contracts down to its natural state and it doesn't start to, hair's going to breathe like the pores on your skin. They're going to expand and contract constantly. And the more it does that, that's what leads to a heck of a lot of tangling throughout the day when you're in the environment.
Let's say what a lot of people do is they wake up in the morning, they bathe or shower the night before, they're not going to do it again in the morning, but they got that bed head. Let's just cover that one last thing. You're not going to get in the shower to wet your hair, what do you do to not look like you had bedhead? You're doing something to get it damp. Is it a water bottle, spray bottle, water on your hands, or just product or some spray in product? What are you doing just to kind of freshen up in the morning that's not
Well, if
involving
you
a
don't
shampoo?
want to shower, then you put your head under the sink or something.
So you
Because
saturate your hair every day.
yes,
There's
I
no
mean you
misting
can
with the
use a spray bottle, but I feel like it's not the same because there's still dry
okay.
parts. So for me, I think it works better saturated.
Soaking wet every morning.
Now
Yes.
you got to keep in mind how tight is her curl
Yeah.
for what you're trying to say. If somebody's got a looser curl pattern, yeah, a spray bottle, a water bottle, even a leave-in detangler, a leave-in conditioner spray, that may be enough just to add enough moisture back into that hair to
Yeah.
re-style it into position.
With your two diffusers.
Yes.
With your two diffusers, yeah, you got a double, right? But when you got this level of curl, and I can't even imagine if her hair was thicker or coarser.
Yeah, I would use the whole spray bottle, so I might as well go in the sink.
And that's a wrap.
Right, and then that's what we're doing.
Yeah, right.
All right, you wanna end it? Say your
Oh,
final closing
you got an
thoughts.
ending?
Goodbye.
No, yeah, right, done, click. I hope that covers the comment that the question was. Thank you for that comment. We really appreciate it. And this is why we ask you guys to let us know what you guys are thinking and what you guys want to hear about and talk about, because that's what we do. We respond with a whole segment dedicated to answering your questions. All right. Hope that helps, guys. Thank you for watching. We'll